Hello again, everyone. This time I'm back with a Mac description and understanding, I hope, for OneDrive. So to kick off then, it gets a little bit confusing here and there's not a lot I can do about it, but I'm going to try and explain the difference between the versions of and what SharePoint OneDrive. There are two versions of OneDrive that I'm going to talk about. You've got SharePoint Team Site. So first off, my language, sometimes I refer to SharePoint Team Site as Team Site or SharePoint, and sometimes SharePoint Team Site. Just to be clear, it is actually one product. So SharePoint Team Site could be, when I talk about it, it could be SharePoint, it could be Team Site. I mean SharePoint Team Site, which was in video number 2. Then there are two versions of OneDrive. You've got OneDrive for Business, which is associated to your Hosmark email address, and then you've got OneDrive Personal, which will be associated to an email address that you may have. A personal email address might be a Gmail, might be a Live, might be an Outlook.com, address. The best way of explaining OneDrive Personal is it's a little bit like iCloud, and a lot of us are familiar with what iCloud does. Even if you're a Windows user in terms of your desktop or your laptop, typically people are familiar with Windows because of their use of iPhones. So where you would use iCloud to sync your photographs that you take on your phone, and it will sync up to iCloud and then maybe sync down to your PC using that, or your Mac computer, Mac OS computer. OneDrive Personal is exactly the same as iCloud. So effectively, you take your personal email address, you log into the Microsoft servers, and from there you can download OneDrive Personal. That is something completely isolated and separated from anything to do with Hosmark. So because of that reason, I'm not the slightest bit interested in your use of OneDrive Personal. You may use it, you may not, it's up to you, but we are interested in SharePoint Team Site, one product, and OneDrive for Business, which you will use your Hosmark email address for. So OneDrive over and above SharePoint is an area that is typically used to share data between a few people inside the organisation or external users as well. So to give you an example, if you imagine a slightly larger organisation might have a department, say a sales department or a finance department, and what you'll have is you'll have areas of data that will be pertinent only to those particular departments. So rather than carve out Team Site for an organisation, typically, it's not always the case, but typically what you would do is you would use OneDrive and you would allocate a shared area, so everybody in that department, not in the whole business, would just be able to see your sales documents, your quotes, your orders, your sales order processing system, whatever that might be, or your finance system and your finance data and so on and so forth, your spreadsheets. Well, that's what OneDrive essentially is typically used. It's not always the case, but it's typically used. Whereas SharePoint Team Site is going to be documentation that is accessible to everybody inside the organisation. So the other day we spoke a little bit about Team Site, SharePoint Team Site. Let's not forget that. So I'm just going to log into Office 365 here. I'm going to use Claire Pawlfley's account. I'm already logged in as Claire, you can see up here. But the way to see that I am on Team Site is if I look here. Sorry, I beg your pardon. If I look here, I've got Hospitality, the Team Site here. Now, I'm just going to change something very briefly. I hope you don't mind. I'm just going to confuse you for a moment. Please ignore this bit. I'm just going to unsync my OneDrive, not syncing. Right, okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my OneDrive here and I'm going to just pop that into my recycle bin. He says, oh, it's already empty, so I just need to remove it from the sidebar, okay. So you should see Hospitality Marketing Services, and you'll see that the Team Site is there. That's because of the work that we did on Team Site the other day. So today I'm going to show you about OneDrive, and you'll see it here. So as I click on OneDrive, what I can do is I can see everything within inside my OneDrive folder, just like we did the other day. If I hit sync, it's going to want me to launch the OneDrive app. This is basically saying that I've used OneDrive on this computer before. Do I want to use this location or choose a different folder? I'm going to use this location because it's all. I couldn't get the list of folders. OneDrive, Hospitality Marketing Services. Please close the dial and try again. Okay, fair enough. Let's try one more time. Open the app. Come on. Okay, let's try one more time. Sync. Open the Drive app. I'm going to start the sync. Hopefully it'll start to do it. The way to test is if I go up here, log in here and look at my preferences, and if I go about account, stop sync. So it should be syncing on my Mac now. And the way to tell is if I open up Find Now, I will see this OneDrive Hospitality Marketing Service has appeared, and you can see green ticks all the way down. Now that's telling me that everything is in sync, very much like over here. So Hospitality Marketing Services, I will see that everything is now in sync. Sorry about the error a little bit earlier, but it's only because I've been setting it up, deleting it, setting it up, deleting it, and I'm just for the purposes of performing tests. But these ticks are something I want you to keep an eye on. Now, typically, I would expect this to be a blue cloud on a Mac, and I'm not quite sure why it's not at the moment. But it would typically be a blue cloud. I'm pretty sure in saying that. And essentially, I mean, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in and I'm going to create documents and spreadsheets as I normally would. Alright, my Mac's just taking a few seconds to get started. So if I go January, February, I have to say February because otherwise I forget how to spell it. Oh, no, grab that, pop that down there and whack that all the way down there, and there you got that, and you got 1, 2, 3. And then if I grab that all the way down there, etc. I've got a spreadsheet. Now all I've got to do is just hit File, Save As, and then I just need to pop it into my folder, Hospitality Marketing Service. If I just pull that across, you'll be able to see there. So we got the OneDrive there, and I'll just pop it in there, and I'll call it John Test number 3, and hit Save. And what we will see is here. It's just looking there, it's just getting ready to sync. So it's syncing right now, and once it's done, you'll see a little green box appear, and it will be in sync like that. Okay, so what I want you to do from time to time, just to maintain the health of the sync process between OneDrive on your local Mac up to the cloud, is just from time to time, just make sure that you are in sync by looking at these green ticks. Same goes for TeamSite. If those green ticks don't exist for whatever reason, then you need to pick up the phone and speak to Colin, who provides support for you guys. Just let him know there might be something wrong. You just need to make sure that that's there. The other thing is that you can launch OneDrive from the browser, so whatever browser you're in, and you'll see that that's my document there. If I click on that, it'll open up, you know this already, I'm pretty sure, but if I click on that document, what it's done is it's opened up Excel actually in the cloud. So it's opened up Excel where I was, and if I make a change to this and start to, where are we, 19, 18, oh god, hang on, yeah, okay, fair enough. So let's go into Excel, there it is, quit Excel, edit workbook. It should let me allow me to edit it now. So if I click 19, 18, 17, and then just hit those and copy those all the way down there, he says, right, and then if I make a save to file, I think it saves automatically on on the online version. So what I should be able to do now is if I go into my OneDrive here, I'm hoping John Test 3, so it's a bit of a live demo, John Test 3, where have you gone, OneDrive and John Test 3 there. I'm hoping that will now show the 19, yeah, there you go. So what it's, even though I've edited up on line up on the actual online version of Excel, even though that's up there, it's already synced to my local machine. Now that will propagate out to everybody's machine within inside Hosmark. So you definitely 100% can trust that, as long as from time to time you are checking. The easiest way is to check this. Just these green ticks, make sure they're there. Now, these green ticks do flow down the folder structure, alright? So if there was a folder deep within that folder structure, somewhere, sort of maybe 10 or 12 different branches down within inside that folder tree, and there was one file out of sync, it would show it with a little sync icon. And then you can start to drill in each of the folders. So if I go into at a glance and I went into there and there was etc. There was various different folders within inside there. You would be able to drill in to see what file was out of sync. Okay, so it sounds as if it would be a really complicated thing to do. It's really not. Okay, so that's all I wanted to do for now, just to maintain the health of your network. Of your synchronization between TeamSite and OneDrive for Business. And you should have, if everything's done right and you've synced the OneDrive for Business area, you should see these two things within inside your Finder and within inside the Quick Access area. So that's the easiest way of finding out if that's syncing. If for whatever reason you do want to copy data from one location to another, it's really simple, and I'll just show you how to do that briefly because that might be applicable to some of you. So if I create a new folder and I call it area to copy data to, I can double click in there, and all I'm going to do is go out to my Finder, hit a new Finder window. I've got two new Finder windows now open. I'm just going to collapse that down a little bit. He says if I could grab it properly. I'm just going to pop that across to there, and all I've got to do is go along and sort of grab an area. Say there's a document here, just drag and drop it. Now that would have moved that from that file from this area into this one, I think, or I could just simply right hand mouse click, copy it, and then paste the item. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for now. Hopefully that's all understood and it's something that you can get your head around. But as ever, if there's any problems, do please give me a call. I'm quite happy to help anybody that's got a problem. And good luck until then. Thanks a lot. Cheers. Speak soon.